For over a decade, I have been fortunate to work with a team that is not only colleagues but family. Each of them has been close to Frank, accompanied me, trusted me, and given me opportunities. I always tried my best, but when things didn't go as expected, I felt like I had failed. He took it all from me. I was the one who built American Pickers. The heavy danger in the treatment room process was broken by the rage of Mike Wolfe when the life sentence was announced. Once a familiar face on screens across America, his search for treasure has taken a darker turn than anyone could have expected. American Pickers star Mike Wolfe has been convicted of involvement in the death of his former partner, Frank Fritz. As the prison doors closed behind him, he spoke with a cold goodbye. Shocking reports from America left millions in disbelief. The familiar image of Wolfe was naturally led away by the other hand. At first, many assumed the arrest was related to a dispute within the antiques community or a business settlement with the Discovery-era channel, but the grisly truth gradually emerged. Wolfe was killed after the death of Frank Fritz. Shortly after Fritz's death, Wolfe posted a memorial message on Instagram expressing his grief. "I am heartbroken to hear of Frank's passing. I have known Frank for more than half my life, and what you saw on TV is what we had in real life. He was a special person. Rest in peace, my friend." These emotional tributes became surprising when framed by the horrifying fact that Wolfe himself was the prime suspect in the death of Fritz. Fritz's cause of death was initially determined to be complications from a stroke. Medical records also showed cerebral vascular disease and primary stenosis, conditions that can affect blood circulation. However, an unexpected discovery changed the course of the investigation. An empty pill bottle was found in Fritz's home bearing Wolfe's faint fingerprints. After comparing DNA, investigators determined the death was not natural but a targeted homicide. Medical reports later showed that Fritz had an unexpectedly high level of fentanyl, a powerful opioid painkiller, in his system, far beyond what was expected. This posed a serious problem because fentanyl was not on his prescription, given his medical history and strict treatment regimen. The likelihood of Fritz taking the drug on his own was extremely low. The investigation quickly narrowed down to people under stress who were near Fritz in his final hours. As the investigation deepened, a member of the American Pickers crew provided vital information to police about where Fritz might be found. Wolfe's expected text messages to Fritz also became part of the incriminating evidence, along with fingerprints on the pill bottle. The prosecution's case here was not manslaughter but murder, with a motive driven by jealousy and ambition. Those who once believed that the feud between Wolfe and Fritz was just a show to boost ratings now had to face the harsh truth. American Pickers was no longer a story about valuable antiques, but a tragedy tinged with betrayal and evil. Mike Wolfe frequently visited Frank Fritz's home, providing him with easy access without raising suspicion. The presence of fentanyl in Fritz's system was suspiciously consistent with evidence presented at trial, including Wolfe's internet search history. Prosecutors extracted data showing that Wolfe had searched for information on hard-to-detect poisons and methods for simulating a stroke-like death. This coincidence further reinforced the suspicion that the entire incident was carefully planned. The level of fentanyl in Fritz's system was well above the acceptable dosage, especially given his medical history and strict treatment regimen. Wolfe's access and evidence that he had been searching for information about poisons painted a clear picture. This was no accident but a deliberate plot. The autopsy report provided key findings that led Iowa State Police to reinvestigate the case as a homicide, with Mike Wolfe as the prime suspect. The investigation was conducted in secret, focusing on those who had been in contact with Frank Fritz in his final hours, including Wolfe. What the detectives discovered shocked even the most seasoned investigators. In a quiet neighborhood, security footage from Fritz's home accidentally captured a crucial detail. Mike Wolfe's car arrived late one night, just 3 hours before the emergency call was made. The discovery raised immediate questions, especially given the strange relationship between Wolfe and Fritz at the time. Even more disturbing was the timing, late at night when the neighborhood was dark and everyone was asleep. The 911 caller was none other than Mike Wolfe. He sounded panicked as he made the call, claiming that he had visited Fritz and found him lying motionless. At first, the call seemed genuine, a worried friend trying to get help. But as the investigation unfolded, it began to look like a carefully calculated move to create the perfect alibi and manipulate the story from the start. When paramedics and police arrived, they found Wolfe visibly distressed, even crying. However, his behavior immediately after Fritz was pronounced dead seemed oddly inconsistent with the grief one might expect. This discrepancy prompted closer scrutiny. Was Wolfe simply playing the role of a grieving friend, or was he taking advantage of the situation to control the unfolding events? As investigators dug deeper, it became clear that Wolfe had used his intimate knowledge of Fritz's health to create the ideal crime scene. As a longtime companion, Wolfe knew well of Fritz's previous stroke and heart problems, making the choice of fentanyl, an opiate that can easily be mistaken for stroke symptoms, appear intentional and calculated. By administering the drug, Wolfe ensured that Fritz's death appeared to be the result of natural health complications rather than foul play. Every detail of the crime scene seemed carefully orchestrated to support this theory, from the location where Fritz was found to the conditions surrounding him. When a friendship is undermined by fame and fortune, what is lost is not just affection, but also faith in human worth. Mike Wolfe could move on, start over, but his image and that of American pickers will forever bear a deep, indelible scar. Frank Fritz, the quiet, smiling, sincere and passionate friend, will live on in the hearts of those who cherish the simplest things. A farewell that was never said has now become a wordless obsession for an entire generation of viewers. For more than a decade, American Pickers has been more than just a reality TV show, it's a part of America's memory. The road trips to old farms, garages, and storage units, the dusty items resurrected from the past, all of it has created a strange magic, connecting the hearts of millions of nostalgia-loving viewers. And at the center of that journey, there have always been two close friends, Mike Wolfe and Frank Fritz. A couple so in tune that they'd almost become pop culture icons. But then, like a bolt from the blue, the truth slowly dawned. After Frank Fritz abruptly left the show for health reasons, fundraising campaigns were launched on social media under the guise of helping an old friend struggling with the aftereffects of a stroke. More than $1 million were transferred to anonymous accounts. Investigators, motivated by an anonymous tip, followed the financial trail, and what they found shocked the nation. Much of the money had been funneled into accounts directly controlled by Mike Wolfe. The investigation grew, uncovering a trail of fraud, forgery, and financial manipulation, not just involving Fritz, but also advertising dollars, licensing deals, and the assets of the show's production company. Mike Wolfe, once hailed as the soul of American collectors, had suddenly become a symbol of greed and betrayal. The courtroom was packed on the day of the verdict. Outside the courthouse, hundreds of fans held signs, angry, disappointed, and heartbroken, as if they had just lost a loved one. Inside, Mike Wolfe bowed his head silently as the judge handed down his sentence of life in prison without parole. There were no tears, no apologies, just a heavy silence as an admission. Frank Fritz, who was still recovering in a medical center, did not appear in public, but his image, a small, sincere man who cherished every antique coin and every rusty license plate, flooded social networks. People called him the last victim of a fake friendship. Danielle Colby, the only woman in the courtroom, was a final testament to the fractured relationship that led to a tragic end.